Transcribed from officer body cam and dispatch logs. 2317 to 042, October 28th. It was one of those nights where the fog sits low and doesn't move, like it's waiting for something. The roads out past Ridgeway turn to gravel after the last gas station, and the radio gets quiet except for static and the hum of the cruiser. I've been out since 1900 hours, last shift before my days off. Just me and Barnes covering the south sector. Nothing ever happens there except noise complaints, coyotes, and drunks walking home in the dark. The heater rattled against the cold. My dashboard clock ticked over 2316 when dispatch came through, faint under the interference. Unit 12, respond to 441, East Hollow Road. Report of a possible disturbance. Caller disconnected. The line crackled, then silence. I glanced at Barnes. He shrugged. Routine call. Someone hearing things again. The Hollow's old farmland, mostly abandoned. We turn off the main road, headlights carving through fog so thick it felt like smoke. The trees on either side pressed in close, bare branches flicking shadows across the windshield. The radio hissed, sputtered, caught fragments of voices that didn't belong to dispatch. Maybe a cross signal from the next county, maybe not. Barnes turned down the volume and said, "Could be kids. Halloween's next week." I nodded, but my stomach was heavy with that quiet kind of dread that comes before you realize something's off. The GPS glitched halfway down the road. The map froze, then blinked out. Only coordinates showed, no address. Still, I knew the property, an old farmhouse that burned down in the 90s. Locals said you could still smell smoke when the wind came from the east. When we pulled up, there was no visible house, just the overgrown driveway, tall grass glistening under the headlights. The fog made it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. I stepped out, boots sinking in soft mud. The air was wet and cold, and somewhere out in the dark a dog barked, sharp and distant, then stopped mid-sound. Barnes called in dispatch, Unit 12 on scene, East Hollow. No visual on residents. Standing by. Only static replied. No voice, no acknowledgement. He tried again. Nothing. I walked a few feet forward, light sweeping across twisted fence posts and something half buried. Maybe an old mailbox, maybe a rusted sign. The air smelled metallic, like rain and iron. Then, just under the hum of the cruiser's engine, a faint thump. Not loud, not close, just there. Barnes froze, flashlight scanning the trees. "You hear that?" he whispered. I did. It came again, irregular like footsteps in soft ground, but with too much weight, too much space between each sound. The radio on my shoulder clicked by itself, squelch open, no voice. Just a low, pulsing hum. Barnes turned to the car to check the dash cam feed. "It's looping," he said. Timestamps not moving. I looked down at my wristwatch. The second hand twitched, then stalled. The thumping stopped. In the stillness, the fog seemed to shift around us like it was breathing. I said, "Let's clear the path up to the clearing. Maybe there's someone there." We moved forward, lights cutting through white vapor. Branches overhead creaked. The smell of smoke grew stronger, faint but real. Then a voice, faint, female, over the radio. "Unit 12, respond," but it wasn't dispatch. It sounded close, too close, like it came from behind me. I spun around. Nothing but fog, and the cruiser lights diffused in the mist. Barnes stepped back, hand on his holster. "Let's go," I said quietly, but he didn't move. He was staring at something past the headlights, eyes wide. I turned, just darkness. "What do you see?" He swallowed hard. Thought I saw movement. Right there. But there was nothing. The fog thickened. My flashlight flickered once, twice, then cut off. I tapped it, got it back. The ground was slick, the air colder. The smell of wet, ash hung heavy now. I keyed my mic again. "Dispatch, Unit 12, we have interference, checking area, static swallow the rest." Then the radio went dead. Total silence. Not even background noise. I looked at Barnes, and before either of us spoke, the cruiser lights behind us dimmed, one by one, until the only thing left was the red glow of the taillights bleeding into the fog. The sound that followed wasn't a thump this time. It was a sharp metallic crack, like something snapping close by. Barnes flinched, drew his weapon. The air felt wrong, heavy. I whispered, "Let's head back to the car." He nodded, stepped backward slowly. Another sound, this one wet, dragging. Too slow to be footsteps. I turned my light toward it, and for a split second, thought I saw movement in the mist, a shape that wasn't quite human, tall and still. The light blinked out again. In the dark, the radio clicked once more. Same female voice, faint, distorted. "Unit 12, do you copy?" I exhaled and felt the hairs rise on my neck. The voice was using my name this time. "Officer Hale," respond. When I reviewed the footage later, what was left of it, the timestamp flickered between 0:02 and 3:19. Nothing in between stayed stable long enough to sync. But I remember it clearly. The fog never lifted. Barnes and I moved past the overgrown driveway into the clearing, radios dead, backup unavailable. I could hear my own breathing louder than the night around us. The field sloped gently down toward where the farmhouse used to stand. Nothing there now but black earth, patches of dead grass, and the burnt foundation stones still wet from the rain. My boots sank in, soft ground giving under each step. The flashlight beam shook slightly, not from my hand, from the air itself, like heat waves though it was freezing cold. Barnes stayed behind me, scanning the tree line. "Anything?" he whispered. I shook my head. Only silence. No wind, no crickets, no dogs. Just a faint electrical hum that seemed to come from nowhere. When I looked back, our cruiser lights were gone. Not just dim, gone. The fog behind us glowed faintly red for a second, then went dark. I keyed the mic again out of habit. "Dispatch, Unit 12, visual confirmation of static." Then a sharp pop, like feedback, and a single tone. 3 beeps repeating. I'd never heard that sequence before. I checked the portable. The battery indicator blinked full, but no channel. Barnes said that sound, it's coming from the ground. He was right. The tone vibrated faintly through the soil, rhythmic, like a pulse underfoot. I crouched, pressed my hand to the earth. It was faintly warm. The air stung with ozone, like after a lightning strike. I stood, looked around. That's when I saw it. A line of disturbed soil leading toward the foundation, like someone had dragged something heavy through the wet dirt. The line stopped abruptly halfway across the clearing. No footprints, no tire marks, just that deep single groove. Barnes muttered something low, not for the mic. I switched my light to wide beam. The foundation stones were black, edges melted smooth. Moss clung to the corners in dark patches. Something metal gleamed at the edge of the debris. I stepped closer. It was an old door hinge, half buried, charred. The hum grew louder the closer I got. "Barnes, check the perimeter," I said. "I'll get a visual here." He moved off toward the east tree line, his flashlight beam slicing through fog until it faded out. I crouched by the stones, the warmth under my boots stronger now. Then, under the hum, a new sound. Soft, wet, irregular, like breathing through water. I turned fast, light catching something white between the trees. Cloth maybe, or a reflection. "Barnes, copy." Silence. I called again. "Barnes, respond." Only the low tone now, steady, pulsing from the ground. My mic crackled once. "Here," barely audible. "Where?" I said. "Repeat." Static, not alone. Then the channel cut. I moved toward his last known position, about 30 yards east. The fog thickened so fast, I lost all bearings. My flashlight beam turned solid white, no depth. The temperature dropped hard, breath visible even through the mask. The radio tone stopped abruptly. Then, total stillness. I heard the crunch of boots on wet ground ahead. Slow, deliberate. One step, pause, another. I called out, "Barnes, that you?" The steps stopped. I waited. A shape appeared in the beam, tall, narrow, unmoving. I held my light steady, hand hovering near my weapon. "Identify," I said. No response. I took a step closer. The shape didn't move, but the fog around it seemed to breathe in and out. Then the radio clicked again, right by my ear. Unit 12. The voice again. The same tone, the same calm, flat delivery. Do not look directly at it. My hand froze mid-reach. Who is this? I whispered. The voice repeated, slower, quieter. Do not look directly at it. I turned half a degree to the left. The figure blurred, edges rippling like heat. Not human, not mechanical, something between. The air around it bent light wrong, like water under pressure. Then in one blink it was gone. Fog filled the space where it had stood. The forest behind seemed darker now, hollow. My earpiece hissed softly, then went silent. I called for Barnes again. Nothing. Only the slow drip of condensation off the trees. I scanned the ground. No footprints but my own. No sign of his light. Just a faint reflection of something metallic caught in the mud. I knelt. It was his badge. Bent, streaked with ash. I turned it over. The number etched faintly red 2319. My pulse hitched. That was his number, yes. But on the footage later, when I checked, the numbers on the badge kept changing between frames. 2319, 1471, 0000. My light flickered again, dimmed to red. Behind me, the fog rippled outward, a sound like distant whispering rising from nowhere. Then a sharp, echoing crack, like a gunshot but deeper. I turned toward it, instinct driving motion before thought. The sound came from back near the cruiser. I ran through fog, disoriented, the path shifting under my feet. The hum returned, louder now, rattling through the air, a single continuous note. When I broke through the last line of trees, I saw the cruiser, doors open, lights still dead. Steam or smoke curled from the hood. And there, on the driver's seat, was Barnes' radio, still broadcasting faint static. His voice came through once, strained, distant, almost whispering, "It's underneath," and then silence. The feed looped that line 3 times before cutting out completely. I stood there in the fog, light trembling, the silence closing in again. The footage starts glitching here. Frames skip. The audio bleeds with interference. I remember the cold before anything else, the kind that burns inside your lungs. The fog had gone still again, dense, solid, like it wanted to hold me in place. The cruiser sat dead on the road, headlights off, battery drained. Barnes was gone. His radio kept looping that same phrase in a warped, low voice. "It's underneath. It's underneath." Then silence. I opened the driver's door slowly. No keys. The ignition was empty. The interior light flickered red, then out. My flashlight struggled to stay on, every few seconds dimming into darkness. I called dispatch again, voice shaking but steady enough. "Dispatch, this is Unit 12, requesting backup. Officer missing. East Hollow Road. Do you copy?" Static. Then, faintly like a whisper through the line, "Copy, standby," but not in any voice I recognized. Too calm. Too close. The signal cut off mid-breath. I looked back toward the clearing. The fog there moved different now, shifting in slow circles, drawn toward a point I couldn't see. Beneath it, something glowed faintly, pale orange like embers underwater. I should have stayed by the car. I know that now. But Barnes' voice came through once more, clearer this time. "Hale, help me," that was enough. I moved toward the glow. Each step sounded wrong, delayed, echoing back a half-second late, like the world couldn't sync itself. The ground trembled lightly, pulse rhythm, same as before. My camera auto-focused repeatedly, struggling to find edges. Then motion. To my left, low and fast. Something crawling through the fog. I turned, beams slicing across what looked like a hand. Too long, too thin, fingers pressed into the mud, pulling the rest of it forward, silent. I froze. The air pressure dropped, ears popped. My breath came out visible, hanging in front of my face before vanishing too slow. The thing stopped moving. The hand curled once, digging into the ground, then sank beneath it without a sound. The soil closed smooth as if nothing had disturbed it. I took 2 steps back, nearly tripped over the foundation stones. Then, a voice behind me. Not Barnes. Not human. You shouldn't have come back. Quiet. Right by my ear. I spun. Nothing there. Only fog. My radio clicked once, opened channel, then began playing back my own voice, the last few transmissions, but reversed. Slow. Wet. Each word drawn out. I ripped the mic from my vest and dropped it. It didn't stop. The sound kept coming, like it wasn't from the device anymore. The light from the ground brightened suddenly, forming a circle maybe 10 feet wide. Inside it, the fog cleared. I could see outlines, something like a cellar door built into the earth. Metal, rusted old. The hinge matched the one I found earlier. I approached slowly. The hum returned, louder now, shaking the air in my chest. I reached for the handle. Warm, vibrating slightly. A low thud came from below. Then another, like something hitting the underside of the hatch. My heart slammed, so hard I felt it in my throat. I backed away, but the latch on its own began to turn, grinding against rust. Just a fraction. Just enough to let air escape. Foul, heavy, like rot and wet soil. My flashlight flickered out completely. In that dark, I heard movement. Crawling. Fast. All around. I pulled my weapon, aimed low, voice trembling. Show me your hands. Now. The only response was a sound, deep, resonant, like someone breathing through a hollow pipe. Then a shape lunged out of the fog. I fired once. Muzzle flash lit the mist. And for a single frame, I saw it. Human face, almost. Wrong proportions. Eyes too wide, too reflective. Skin slick, stretched thin over something that wasn't bone. Then it was gone. The bullet hit nothing but dirt. The echo rolled out slow, fading into static again. I ran. No direction, just away. Branches whipped past, fog tearing in streaks. My shoulder cam bounced violently. You can hear me breathing hard, whispering into dead air. Barnes, come on. Where are you? Then I hear it. Footsteps behind me. Not chasing, pacing. Matching my rhythm exactly. Every time I stop, they stop. I turned fast, nothing. But when I looked back ahead, there was a figure standing by the cruiser. Barnes. Or close enough. Same height, same stance, but wrong somehow. Didn't move, didn't call out. His head tilted slightly when I raised the light. The beam hit his face, and the image tore, static distortions across the frame. His features shifting in and out like the camera couldn't decide what it was seeing. He opened his mouth, but the sound wasn't his voice. It was mine. It's underneath. The body cam audio spiked, so loud it clipped out. When it came back, I was on the ground. The camera angled sideways, showing my boots, the cruiser, the fog moving unnaturally fast, folding inward. Something dragged across the gravel behind the car. A whisper low, stay. Then the feed cuts for 19 seconds. When it returns, I'm standing, weapon drawn, light fixed on the open road. No fog, no cruiser, just empty field and silence. My voice comm flat says copy that, returning to base. But I don't remember saying that. They found the cruiser at dawn. No lights, no keys, both doors open. It was parked halfway off the gravel road, just before the hollow turns to dirt. The fog hadn't moved all night. It hung low, pressed to the ground like a heavy sheet of breath. The inside of the vehicle was damp. Ash clung to the seats, fine and black, like soot from a long-dead fire. My body cam was still recording when they opened the trunk. The footage kept looping, 30 seconds of fog, the faint hum, the red taillights flickering in the dark. Every time the video ended, it restarted again with the same second, 23:17. No voices, no movement, just the sound of air moving through the microphone, steady and slow. The search lasted all morning. They combed the field, the tree-line, the remains of the old foundation. Nothing. No footprints. No shell casings. No signs of struggle. Only one patch of ground stayed warm to the touch, even after sunrise. When they checked it with thermal, It pulsed faintly like something beneath the soil was still alive, breathing. Later at the station, the radio on the evidence table powered on by itself. Channel 3, the same one we'd used that night. The speaker crackled once, and a voice came through, distorted, broken, like it had traveled too far. It said, Unit 12, responding. The dispatcher froze. The signal lasted 4 seconds, then cut out. When I tried to trace it, the location pinged back to 441 East Hollow Road. No service towers in that area. No possible return route. They said I must have walked out of the forest on my own around 6 o'clock. That's what the report says. That I was found by the roadside, unarmed, disoriented, mild hypothermia. They said I didn't remember what happened. Maybe they were right. The first few hours are gone, blank. All I recall is the fog parting just enough to show the empty road ahead, and the static of my own voice whispering back through the radio. But I do remember the hum. It hasn't stopped since. Some nights it's faint, under the fridge motor or in the wires in the walls. Sometimes it's louder, enough to make the windows vibrate. The doctors call it tinnitus. I know it's not. 2 nights ago, I woke to the sound of my old patrol radio coming alive. I don't own one anymore, but the voice was clear. Officer Hale, copy. I didn't answer. The light outside my window was red, steady low, like a taillight bleeding through fog. Then the hum started again, rising slow until it filled the room. I keep thinking about what Barnes said before he vanished. It's underneath. The words don't leave my head. The soil, the warmth, the sound, it's still there waiting. Sometimes I dream of that clearing. Only this time there's no fog, just open sky and something moving below the surface, slow and patient. They sealed the area off after that night. Officially, 441 East Hollow doesn't exist anymore. The road isn't on the county map. They've buried the old reports, deleted the call logs. But every so often, a new signal comes through. Same time, same frequency. Last night, I listened to it again. The voice was clearer now, less distorted. It wasn't Barnes anymore. It wasn't me either. It said, Unit 12. Do you copy? I didn't answer. I just sat there in the dark, listening to the hum under the floor, counting the seconds until it stopped. But it didn't. It never does. And when I looked out the window, through the fog that wasn't supposed to be there, I saw the red light again, blinking slow, steady, like the cruiser still running, like the call still waiting for a response. End of file.